Great. Thank you so much, Rafael. I appreciate the introduction. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining today. Just wanted to introduce myself real quick. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and then I'm going to turn off. There we go. And then I'm going to turn off my camera. But I wanted to say hi to you guys real quick before we get started. So again, thank you guys so much for joining. And here we go. So my name is Dian Taylor. I am a pre-sales engineer at RSM. I am also a Microsoft MVP for business applications. And you guys can follow my blog on d365goddess.com or connect with me on Twitter, or just connect with me on LinkedIn as well if you guys want to do that. So the other thing that I wanted to mention real quick before we really dive into that is that in 2008, I actually lost my job. I was working as an HR admin at a bank. So that was not a good time, or not a good place to be in that time, I should say. So I really decided after that I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to, learn more about IT and software, and that's kind of how I rolled into this. And this was, like we said, a while ago. But I basically started my career in 2000, excuse me, in 2011, and I wanted to share this with you because I had no IT background whatsoever. So anybody that lost his job and that wants to learn something else, if you don't have that background, it's really not a big deal, because again, I didn't have that either. And the platform, excuse me, is really easy to learn. A lot of these applications are very easy to learn, and there are so many great people out in this community as well that would love to help you with your career and going in that particular direction. So having said that, I'm going to just shut off my camera. And I just want to talk a little bit about our agenda today. So we're going to really dive into what Power Virtual Agents actually is and how you can get started with this as well. I'm going to show you how you can very quickly spin up a trial. We're going to talk about all of the Power Virtual Agent components, such as topics and trigger phrases, the authoring canvas, which is where you basically build your path, the entities, and I'm going to do a ton of demos as well, so you can kind of see how it works, what it looks like, etc. So before we dive in, what is Power Virtual? Well, you probably have all heard or seen or interacted even with chat bots, right? So Power Virtual Agent is basically Microsoft's answer to chatbots. Usually when organizations want to implement a chatbot, we have to work with developers, and there's usually a lot of coding. Sometimes there's issues where, the subject matter expert is trying to talk to the developers by basically explaining to them like how they want the chatbot to actually function. Sometimes that communication is a little bit hard. So Microsoft said, you know what, let's start building something, a tool that is easier, that everybody basically can use to start building those chatbots and the conversations that these chatbots can have with their customers. So that's kind of the difference. Power Virtual Agents, they were actually designed with 3 key personas in mind. And number one of those was obviously the customers, right? The people that are going
Dian,
to be,
excuse
yes.
me.
Yep.
We do not see your screen. I don't know if it's normal
Okay, let
or
me
not.
just try that again.
Yeah, perfect.
Does it does that work now?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, so really it's like I said, it's really designed with 3 personas in mind, right? Like we said, it could be your customers, that could be internal, and these are really the people that are interacting with those chatbots, right? So these could be employees if you want to have a chat bot for internal purposes. Maybe you want to have a chat bot for HR so that people very quickly can get answers to that, right? So that's one example of that. And then we also have the subject matter experts. So those are really the people who have the expertise, so to speak, on what we want the chatbot to say and do and all that kind of stuff, right? So with Power Virtual Agents, we're really enabling these types of folks to build out those topics with zero code. So you don't have to know coding, you don't have to know any of that in order to start building out topics with PVA. And that's really the main thing that really separates Microsoft's Power Virtual Agent from a regular chatbot, being able to build that out without the need of code. Now, we could have some coding in there. If we wanted to do some more advanced stuff, we can do that. So we could lastly also have that IT admin, right, or development department, if in case we do want to use some code. So we have that available. But if we don't want to use that, we don't have to use that. So I guess, like I said, that's kind of the biggest thing here. So here's a couple of highlights of Power Virtual Agents, right? So you can see here in the screenshot that this is a very simple interface. It's very graphical. You can do a little bit of dropping and dragging and dropping in here as well. And again, it's very easy to build those topics and that particular path of conversation in here as well. So some of the other things that we can do here is we can, when we're actually answering a question and somebody is actually entering data, right, talking to the bot, right, we can actually recognize that type of information and we can extract that information and then we can do stuff with it. So for example, you can say, hey, what is your name? Well, my name is like me, right, Dian? Okay. You can save that response and then you can use that later again. So you can say the next sentence like, hey, Dian, nice to meet you, right? So keep that in mind, that's also something that you can do with that. And then of course, you can act on user responses as well. So what that means is, for example, you can have other applications kind of work with Power Virtual Agents to perform actions. Maybe you want to send that person an email address. Maybe you want to hook it up to another application like Dynamics 365, where we can query the database to see, hey, do I already have a record in my CRM or Dynamics 365 CE system? And if not, maybe I want to create a lead record in Dynamics 365, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do with that. Now, you guys probably heard of the Power Platform. So Power Virtual Agent is part of that Power Platform. And you can kind of see here where it fits in, right? It's really built on top of the data connectors, the portals, right? And then AI builder capabilities and the common data service, obviously, as well. Now, I would really recommend taking a look at this URL. So write it down, and maybe Rafael, maybe you can put it in a chat window as well, right? That's at https powervirtualagents.microsoft.com. And I would just go in there and just request a trial and kind of play around with it a little bit, because guess what? After this session, you're going to be able to build your own chatbot and you're going to be able to build those topics directly after this session. So definitely make sure that you sign up for that to kind of, like I said, so you can play around with that a little bit. You have to have obviously a work email address. A personal email address doesn't work, but like I said, try to see if you can play around with that. So once you sign up, what happens is the system will actually create something that's called an environment, where that's where basically your host bot will be created, right? And then if you need to create other additional environments, that can happen as well. So basically, what you have to do is you're going to get this screen is going to come up, and it's going to ask you, obviously, right? You have to select your name, and then you can select the environment for that bot, which is that environment that I just mentioned that's going to be created automatically. So you can see here that I actually called it bot environment. So I can just pick that. And then all you have to do is just wait, and it will tell you, okay, we're creating your bot in the background. And after that, you're going to get this little pop-up window that says, okay, we're still building it. It's going to take up a couple of minutes, But guess what? You can start exploring the application as the system is kind of finishing up building that in the background. Now, this is a screen that you will be able to kind of like, browse through a little bit, right? So you see that on the side here, you have your navigation items, right? So you have the home page, you have topics, entities, analytics, how to publish, and there's some management buttons here as well. So again, whenever you're navigating, these are the buttons that allow you to go to different areas in the application. So we're going to talk about all of them. But let's start with topics. Now, topics are, let's say, they're conversation paths that allow users to build or have a conversation that feels natural and that also flows appropriately. So we can configure these topics using the authoring canvas that you saw earlier. So we can ask questions to users, we can configure responses, etc. And then every time that you create a topic, each of those topics could also have several trigger phrases. And I'll get into that a little bit later as well. Then there's also something like suggested topics. And with suggested topics, Power Virtual Agent administrators have the ability to leverage existing content, existing web content to create new topics. Now, keep in mind that the content needs to be in the form of FAQ pages or support sites. So once you do that, you still need to actually approve them, and then you can kind of import those or bring them in, and you can also obviously tweak that a little bit as well. Now, when the bot is actually created, the system actually automatically creates a number of lesson topics as well. And these lesson topics are really for you to kind of learn how to create content for your bot. So they're not really used for production use, and you're not going to see those lesson topics in my environment because I set this up prior to the lesson topics being added to the application. But you'll get a little bit of an idea. I would suggest, like I said, as soon as you sign up for this, just go and open some of those lesson topics and kind of take a look at like how some of those were built, right? Because that's really what they're used for. Now let's talk about trigger phrases. So those are phrases or keywords or questions, right, that somebody is likely to ask your bot that could be related to a specific issue. And based on those trigger phrases, the bot will route, one of those users to a topic, right, based on obviously what they type in. Now, a big part of conversations is around something that's called natural language understanding, which is the ability for AI to understand the intent of that user, right, of that person that's really interacting with that bot. So for example, somebody might type in like, hey, I tried to use my gift card, but it didn't work. So the bot is going to be able to route the user to the gift card topic. And guess what? It doesn't have to be the exact phrase, right? It could be similar to that. So you can see here, are you closed now? Are you open at noon? It doesn't have to be the exact phrase that's in there. And it will also kind of learn as people are using it to recognize some of these phrases as well. Now, this is again that authoring canvas, right? And this is really where topic writers will probably spend most of their time, because this is where you are going to configure your questions and your answers and your actions, which is basically logic. We'll get into that as well. All of that will be right here on that authoring canvas. And admins can type in the question that the bot will ask that user, right, that's interacting with Power Virtual Agents, and they can configure the response types, they can capture the answers by using variables. All of that will be done from within here, from within that authoring canvas. Now, this is kind of, I just wanted to throw this on there so you can kind of see what that looks like, and this is when you start building out some of your topics. So you can see here that when you're in that authoring canvas, you can start putting in questions and messages, and then you have options. As you can see, it says here, ask a question, call an action, show a message, go to another topic, end the conversation. So this kind of explains to you what all of that does, right? Number one, as you can see, you have some mild formatting options in messages or in questions. So you can, you can put links in there. You can see here, there, you can also use italic or here it is bold as well, or you could write any of those. You have those available to you. Then you can actually ask a question, right? So that's really what the bot is going to ask the user that's interacting with PVA. And then you can also trigger an action. We'll talk about that. Maybe there's a whole set of questions that, right, the bot is answering of the user who's interacting with PVA. And maybe at the end of it, they want to get an email with everything that they talked about. That is an action. We can use Power Automate for that, right? We can call one of those flows to say, hey, grab all this data, put it in an email, and now send it out to that user. You can also query your database, your Dynamics 365 customer engagement database. Think about, maybe you want to have a chat bot for sales, and people are talking to your bot and they want to be contacted by a sales rep, right? What PVA can do is, for example, they can create a record in Dynamics 365 sales, right? Or they can query the database to see if this email address is already related. If it's already in your database, maybe I just need to create a task to follow up with this lead or contact. All of that is available without the use of code. You can use PVA for all of that. Maybe I just want to send a message to the user. Hey, I just want to say this. I don't want to get an answer. It's just a message. You can do that as well. Or maybe I want to redirect this person to another topic, right? So I don't have to build the same topic out again. You could do that as well. And then lastly, we can end the conversation with a survey, right? That's exactly that. Hey, did we answer your questions correctly? Yes or no? Or we can transfer it to a live agent. And what we have out of the box is, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well, is omni-channel for customer service, where we can again, without the use of code, we can transfer that to an agent that is using omni-channel. So we'll show you that as well. Now, the first thing I wanted to do here in my demo is really just show you what it looks like, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and pull up here as you can see, here's my bot. This is just a demo website that actually comes with PVA where you can kind of test out your bot. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that. And I created already obviously, right, a script, or a topic, I should say. So I'm going to say, I love Star Wars, and I'm just going to hit enter. And we're going to see what it says. And I'm going to try and make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Hello, my little Padawan. I hope all is well with you. How are you planning on using the Force? Well, let's go to the dark side. And why do you want to join the dark side? I want to kick Kylo Ren's behind, or I want to rule the universe. So the first thing I wanted to show you what we can do is we're going to rule the universe. And guess what? It's saying it sounds a little selfish to me. Maybe you should reconsider. So you're seeing that it's kind of doing a loop right now, right? So we can do that. I'm going to show you how to set that up. So every time I pick rule the universe, it's going to go back in this loop, right? We're saying it sounds a little selfish. Maybe you should reconsider, right? So you can do that. Let's pick the other one where we want to kick Kylo Ren's behind. Let's see what he says. Awesome. I never liked the guy. Now pick a weapon. So you can also have several options that somebody can choose from, right? So let's do the Sith sword. And great choice. I love the Sith sword. So this is what I talked about earlier. It's capturing my choice, the data that I entered in here, and it's now bringing that back to me directly here in this comment that he has for me. Okay, great. Pick your partner in crime. I'm going to say Darth Vader. Great. So now he's kind of putting all of that information that I entered. I wanted to join the dark side. My side, to kick Kylo Ren's behind. My partner requirements, I picked Darth Vader, and my weapon is the Sith sword. Do you want me to email this to you? Wow, he can even send me an email. So I can say yes. And now it's asking me to enter a valid email address. So I'm going to say, oops, let me just email this to, you know what, work is going to go into my spam folder most likely. So here we go. And the email has been sent. So this is where we're using Power Automate to actually grab all of this data and then plug it into an email and then send it to me. Did that answer your question? I can say yes. And now it's actually forwarding this particular user, myself, right, to end this by basically this, for me, allowing me to rate this. So I can just say, yes, this was good, bad, excellent, right? This was horrible, terrible, right? So these are some of the things that we can do with PVA. Now, let's take a look, right, in the actual setup behind the scenes of what that looked like, what we just did. I am just going to go ahead and go here to topics. And you can see here that these are all of the topics that I have. So those are those conversation paths that we talked about earlier. We also talked about suggested topics. This means that we can very quickly import a lot of topics from, for example, a website. So as you can see here, it's telling us to just put in a website here, and then I can just go ahead and start importing that. Now you gotta remember that your website has to be kind of like an FAQ. Let me just see. I thought I have it open. Yeah, this is a good example where you have a question and then you have the answer on here. So I could just go ahead and copy this particular link, and then I can go to suggested topics and I can just add this, and then I can start importing that. And that's how easily you can do that. And then you will see those topics under the suggested area right over here. So let me just go ahead and do that. Just click on ads. I'm going to click on start. And you can see here, now it's getting those suggestions. It's going to take a couple of minutes and it's going to put it right over here under my suggested area. And then I can take a look at that and then I can quote unquote import those. So we'll show you that in a second. Now, here is my Star Wars topic. So let's drill into that. So you can see here that these are my trigger phrases, right? And I typed in, I love Star Wars. So you can see that's not even in here, but it continuously learns, right, from what other people are typing in and how we're redirecting people to this particular topic. So again, it doesn't have to be exact. And obviously you can add more trigger phrases here as well. If I wanted to go ahead and do that, I can type something and then just click on add, and that will just add those trigger phrases to this. And again, this is really for the bot to recognize which topic to send this person to, right? That's interacting with the bot. Then we have our authoring canvas, and this is where the magic happens, right? This is where we're going to have all of those questions and comments. So here's our message. This is that first message that you saw where it said, hello, my little Padawan, I hope all is well with you. And then I have a question. How are you planning to use the Force? And then I gave them two options, dark side and light side, and we actually went to the dark side, right? So it's saying here, if that option, that if what they're picking is dark side, then go this one way, right, is equal to dark side, go this way, take this path. If it's equal to light side, take that path, right? And then it's going to the next question. Do you want to join the dark side? Or why do you want to join that? And then I have, again, two options. And again, it's splitting off in two different paths. One of them says, I want to kick Kylo Ren's ass. And the other one says, I want to rule the universe, right? This is where we're saving those responses. I actually called this the dark side reason. We can edit that, right? Normally it's called variable 1, variable 2, but I can just very easily go ahead and rename that so that when I'm collecting this data, because remember we were sending an email afterwards, so that I kind of know, right, what is kept in this particular variable. And then I can go further down, right? Here again, we're giving them options to pick a weapon. And then as you can see, it's saying, hey, if you say, I don't need a weapon, it's going to say, okay, no weapon, and anything else, it's just going to go ahead and say, great choice. I love the whatever weapon you picked, right? Because this is called dark weapon. Oh, I went too far. Here we go, dark weapon, right? So we're bringing back that variable directly from within here. Now, I'm going to, in a second also, as one of my demos, I'm going to go ahead and rebuild this so you guys can kind of see how I'm going to start building that topic for my Power Virtual Agents. Okay, so let's continue on here. So now you saw earlier that I kind of showed you that dialogue script, right? Now keep in mind though that the bot doesn't have to follow that dialogue script blindly. We can also, as you can see, configure this to skip questions, right? So it intelligently uses all of the information that it had to really decide whether to ask for a question or maybe skip it because we already have that answer, right? So, and that's really like if you have a question where the user already or gave you that information or gave that information already to the bot, it can skip a question. So I'll show you that in a second as well. And that way you're not going to have those repetitive conversations, right? If I gave my email address earlier and then later on I'm asking for my email address again, that's kind of annoying, right? So we can set that up so that the bot doesn't do that as well. Now, this is very, very interesting and very important as well when you're building your bot. So really for any bot to be actionable, it has to be smart, right? And it has to understand what our users are saying, what the people that are interacting with that bot, what they're saying and what they're referring to. Now, Power Virtual Agent comes with a set of pre-built entities which represent the most commonly used stereotype information in real world dialogues, such as age, color, number, names, etc. Now, what this is for is this really helps PVA to recognize relevant information from a user input perspective and even allows us to save that for future use. Now, think of entities as a way to tell your bot what to look for in unstructured text. So for example, when a user puts in, hey, it costs $1,000. If you're using a money entity, then the bot knows that that $1,000, that represents monetary type of information, right? So when the bot extracts this entity and saves it to a variable, it will save the thousand as a number, and it's not going to do anything with that surrounding text where it said dollars, right? I said it was $1,000. It's only going to store 1,000. So that's where we can use these out of the box entities for. But we can also create our own custom entities, and that's a little bit different from the entities that come with the system. If we're building our own custom entities, that really allows us to basically enter a list of items and also their synonyms in that entity list. And they can be used to kind of group or categorize certain words together. So for example, maybe you're building out a bot to handle lawn questions, right? You might have an entity that's called lawn issues or lawn concerns or whatever, but the values in that list could be brown spots or lawn pests or fertilization, right? Anything related to that. By grouping those items in one list, it really allows PVA to more easily understand the data that's been entered, right? So when somebody types that in, it's like, oh, okay, I'm looking for something related to that. Right? Now, the smart match option is part of the intelligence supported by the bot's language understanding model. And it provides the flexibility to let the bot take in the user input in kind of a fuzzy way based on that list of items giving to that entity, right? That we just talked about. So when this toggle is on, it lets the bot recognize items in the list, even if the customer misspells a word or when they use a similar word, such as maybe matching the word job to career, right? Those are synonyms as well. So those synonyms allow us to manually expand that matching logic, right? Because now we're entering the synonyms directly into the application. Now, and using those together obviously make the bot even smarter than that. So let's go ahead and show you some of that. I'm just going to go, oops, I'm going to go back here to my topics. And I actually have that in my Star Wars topic as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you that. So this is kind of, you can see here it says identify. Normally, if I would create a new bot and I would put a question in, you know what, let's actually just go ahead and do that. I'm going to create a new topic and I'm going to say empower your career topic. I'm going to say empower my, oh, I can't even type. Empower me. I can't do something with jobs because I already have something like that in there. Want learn IT stuff. There we go. So we got a couple here. Now I can just go ahead and save my topic. And now I can go to my authoring canvas. You can see here my trigger phrases, and I can start with a message. Hi, welcome to. If I don't want that, there we go. If I don't want that, if I want to start with the question, I can just go ahead and delete this message. But let's say we're just going to empower. Oh, I cannot type today. Sorry, guys. Okay. So here's my message that, you know, if any of this matches or something similar to this matches, it will route it to this topic. They will see this message. Then what do I want to do? I want to ask a question. I'm going to say, I'm going to say, are you enjoying this session? As you can see here, my identify says multiple questions, multiple choice options. I can just start putting in options. I can say yes. I can do a new option, no, right? Or I can say, I don't know. There we go. We have 3 options. As you can see here, now it says, if that response is yes, go this route. If it's no, go this route. If it's I don't know, go that route. I'm going to say, if you don't know, I'm going to ask you the question again. So I'm going to click on plus. This is what you saw earlier that I was kind of doing a loop, right? So I can go ahead and click on this little dot. Oops, I need to like zoom out a little bit. Oops, not that much. I can just click on that. I can grab that and I can pull that back here. So what that means is if somebody types in, I don't know, it's going to go right back to this question, right? Then I can say, I'm going to ask another question. What is your email address? And I can put in, I can have them type in the email address. Now, this is where we can use those entities. I can say that response of that person, what they're going to type in, is going to be an email type, right? So what the system is going to do, if somebody types in my email address is, and then they type in an email address, it is only going to store that email address, right? So let's just go ahead and end the conversation after that. And then I'm going to say with this one, I'm just going to go ahead and ask them the same question, right? We just built a topic. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I can test it here directly in line. Okay, let me just refresh content here. And now I can start testing my bot. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to say, I want to learn IT stuff. There we go. And it says, do you mean empower your career? So it's thinking like, hey, I think you need to go in here. And I'm going to say yes. and it's going to learn from this. So you can kind of see as it's going through these different things here, you can follow what it's doing. So, hi, welcome to Empower My Career. Are you enjoying this session? I don't know. And it should go right back. Yeah, I don't know. Are you enjoying this session? So it just went back here and then it went back over here. Are you enjoying this session? Then I'm going to say yes or no. Say yes. And what is your email address? And I want you to kind of see also that I can kind of here track those variables, what is stored. I just picked yes. So in my variable 1, it says yes. So now I'm going to type in my email address is someone at email.com. And I'm going to submit that. And look at that. It actually only grabs the email address and it just ignored the other text that was around it. So that's really how you can use those out of the box entities, right? It really allows you to now just strip out certain values with Power Virtual Agents. Now, skipping a question is very interesting as well. I'm just going to go back here to my topics. And I'm going to go to this identify and detect lawn issue. Here we go. And I am going to, you can see here it says, I'm just going to go ahead and reset this. You can see here I have some trigger phrases, fix for weeds in my lawn. So, and then it's going to say, sure, I can help you with your lawn concerns. What is the issue? I have brown spots or I have weeds, and then it's going to take me to a message. Now, if you click here on the side, you can see here that it allows me to skip that question. So you can just go ahead and click on that. And then when a user already has provided a response, allow the bot to skip it, or you want the bot to ask it every time. So as you can see, I have it to allow to skip this question. So I'm going to type in, let's think about this. I'm going to say, I have weeds in my garden. So that should skip this. Sure, I can help you with your lawn concerns, and should go directly to this, right? So let's take a look. I have weeds in my garden. Boom. That's exactly what it did. You know, it skipped this. It saw that, if I click over here, it saw that the concern was weeds, right? I have that renamed here. I called my variable concern. And it went directly here to my message. And now it's asking me for my email address. So that's how you can skip the questions, right? And again, right, really allowing us to not have those same questions being asked again and again. All right, let's go back here to the deck here. All right, so we kind of talked about this already in that demo, right? We're going to be able to skip questions if the information has already been given by the user. That's kind of what we did. Now, we can also, you're going to probably say, enable your bot to act on behalf of your customer. Wait, well, what is that? Well, guess what? We can use Power Automate to perform actions on those backend systems that I just talked about earlier. You can even set up authentication so people can log in, and maybe then you want them to be able to create records in Dynamics 365, right? We can do that as well. The other thing you can do is what I said earlier, right? If you want the customer to, for example, set up a lead, create a lead in the system, or set up a task for a sales rep to follow up with them, you can do that. You can use Power Automate for that. And you would go into Power Automate, you would create that flow, and then you can call that flow directly from within PVA, which is very, very nice, obviously. And then obviously there's also a handoff if you're using Dynamics 365 Omnichannel for customer service. You can hand it off from that bot to a live agent. So hopefully I'll have a little bit of time at the end to show you guys that as well. Now, Power Virtual Agents also has a comprehensive set of analytics that really allow us to kind of review key performance indicator for your bot. And they're broken into a number of different pages. So multiple charts will give us graphical views of, as you can see, the trends and the breakdowns in the topics. And then AI technology really highlights the topics that are having the greatest impact on your bot's performance. So this really allows you to also make the bot better, right? And keep in mind that the analytics dashboards are updated every hour. So there's going to be a little bit of delay before you're going to be able to see all of that data. Now, the three different areas to analyze are the overall analytics, and that's that summary, customer satisfaction, and the session information. So this is kind of what I just wanted to highlight this real quick, right? Here's some additional information as well that you can kind of, and these are some of the resolution rate drivers as well, right? This really allows you to kind of review, right, how your bot is doing. Like that summary chart summarizes the KPIs for the specified time period and the percent change over that period as well, right? That blue up and down indicator next to the value, that indicates the percent change in a positive direction. And then the red indicator indicates the percentage change in that negative direction, right? And then the engagement over time chart really shows you the number of engaged and unengaged sessions over time as well. So I don't want to, like I said, have to like go over every single chart. You guys kind of, I'm sure, understand that, you know, we have this available. So let me just show you real quick where this is in PVA. I'm just going to go back here. So you can go to analytics directly from within here. And I'm just going to go ahead and close this out here for a second, right? So this really shows you, right, the analytics for everything. And then you can kind of go back here and look at that from the past 7 days versus the last 30 days. And then you can see here, right, your customer satisfaction. That was really from where I was being redirected earlier, right? So that's where you can kind of see that. And then here your sessions and your billing. Now, if you wanted to take a look at a specific topic, you can do that as well, right? So for example, let me just go here to my Star Wars. You can see here that I can go directly to that authoring canvas from here, but I can also go to analytics from here. And now it's just showing me the analytics for this particular topic, right? And again, right, it's showing me, as you can see here, some of the volumes, the CSAT scores, resolution rates, etc. Obviously, I don't have a lot because I'm only doing this when we're demoing this. So again, right, last 30 days, might have a little bit more information. No, I do not. A little bit more information in there. But this is kind of where you can go to kind of review that data and those analytics. Now, let's take a look at what I was talking about earlier, right? I'm just going to go and first show you. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. I have another one. I'm going to say load my demo script. So I'm first going to show you what it does. This is a demo combo. Do you want us to contact you? And I'm going to say, yes, I do want you to contact me. So my first name is, I'm going to say Jimmy. And I'm going to say, what's his last name? I don't know, Johnson. Okay. And what is your email address? Jimmy1234@email.com. Here we go. Okay. Somebody will contact you within 2 business days. What did I do here? I actually had the system, as you can see, capture some information, first name, last name, and an email address. And what it does then at the end of that, I have a Power Automate flow that actually creates, as you can see, here he is, Jimmy Johnson was just created, right, a couple of minutes ago. So I'm going to open that up. I just had a Power Automate flow create a lead in my Dynamics 365 database. And then it also actually put in a phone call for Jimmy as well. And you can see here where this lead record came from. This was a bot inquiry, right? So you can do stuff like that. All right, let's take a look at how that was set up. Let me go back here to my topics. And let me just, this was my demo conversation. So let's go into that conversation. So here you say, hey, do you want us to contact you later? We said yes, and then it's asking for the first name, right? And I'm saying, okay, we're looking for a person's name, last name. Again, we're looking for a person's name. Then we're going to ask for an email address. And guess what I'm doing then? I am calling an action. So you can do that again by just clicking that button and then selecting that action. What I do then is I'm basically inputting this information, right, that the person typed in, right? We could see that here, that last name, email address, and I'm going to hand that off to my flow in Power Automate. So that's what I'm doing. I'm entering that data that the customer typed in. I'm going to put that in a flow, and then I'm going to tell the flow, hey, create that lead record. And then we're going to go back here to PVA, and it's going to say somebody will contact you within 2 business days, right? Okay, let's take a look at that. I'm just going to, oops, duplicate this here real quick. I'm going to go back to my topics, the topic that we just created, Empower Your Career. All right, let's take a look and go here to that authoring canvas. How do we do that? What's your email address? Let's say we're going to get rid of this and we're going to, right, call that action. This is how we're going to call that flow. Call the action. And then here are my flows. Create a lead or not. Basically what that means is it's going to query my database to see if that lead is in there already. So I can go ahead and click that. And this is now, right, showing me those variables that I have in here, my email address, right? This is what I can pass on to my Power Automate, right? So my email address will come from var1. This is how you do that, right? My first name will come from, well, I didn't set it up because I didn't ask for first name, last name, but that's how you would do that. And then you can again click on this and say, okay, we're going to show a message, right? And I was going to say it's going to throw up because it's like, I need values for my first name and my last name and my flow. Otherwise, it can't run, right? That's how you do that. That's how you can very easily call that flow, and you can have it do whatever you have your flow configured for. Okay, that was that automation. Now, publishing, right? Where can we put that bot? Well, we can publish these bots to multiple platforms or channels, whatever you like to call them. You can put them on a website. You can put them on a mobile app. You can even put them on those Microsoft, right? Microsoft websites or portals that we have, which is called Power App portals. You can have a custom website, right? All of that. Microsoft Teams, Facebook Messenger, right? So once you publish your bot, you can connect it to those additional channels. Now, keep in mind that every time any content is updated, so, right, I actually added that flow to one of those topics. You need to make sure that you actually publish it again. And this is really going to update that bot across all of those channels that you have connected it to. And usually it just takes a couple of minutes, so it's really not a big deal. Now, I showed you earlier that demo website, right? Now, keep in mind that the demo website, you really should only use that to kind of try that bot out and share that. You can share that with your team so other people can kind of try it out as well. It is not meant for production use, right? So keep that in mind, right? You can, like we saw earlier, you can plug that somewhere else, but don't use that demo website that I just showed you. Let me just go back here. This is that demo website. This is not for production. Keep that in mind. It's just to kind of test your bot out. Now, this is how you add your bot to a live website, and it's really added as an iframe. So your live website can be a customer-facing external website, or it could even be an internal website like SharePoint or Yammer, right? And like I said earlier, if your organization is using Power App portals, or your client's organization, they can be added to Power App portals, obviously, as well. You can see it's very easy. You can just go ahead and copy that code and then just add it to that website. Now, this is what I talked about earlier, right? Now, Omnichannel for Customer Service is a paid add-on to Dynamics 365 Customer Service. And this is what that handoff does, right? That we saw earlier. We had the option to hand it off to a live agent. This is what that does. You can see here that you get like this little chat window here. So as soon as it's handing it off, the system is going to show that little that icon to whoever is available, and then people that are using omnichannel, those agents, can actually accept that chat. And you can also see here that I can actually, if I'm an agent taking over that chat from Power Virtual Agent, I can even see what they talked about. You can see that history, right? Which is kind of nice. Now, let me just show you how to publish that. That's a very easy thing to do. I'm just going to go back here, go back to my Power Virtual Agents. So you can see here that there is a big publish button over here. I can just go ahead and click that. I'm actually going to delete this because it's not going to let me publish this. And this is my end of conversation. I'm just going to go ahead and save this. Save this. Okay, this is fine. I just need to refresh my contents and make sure that it's still okay. And now if I need to if I want to actually publish all of my changes, this is what you do, right? You click on this publish button. It just takes a couple of minutes. This is, by the way, also once you publish for the first time, this is where that link to your demo website will be. You can just click right over here. That's where that is. And again, that is really used for testing only, okay? So that's where you can do that. Now, this is kind of interesting too. Authentication allows the bot to verify a user's identity during a conversation, and it gives the bot secure access to user data and allows it to take actions on the user behalf. Now, Power Virtual Agents can be configured to provide authentication capabilities so users can sign in, right? That's kind of what we talked about earlier. Which makes it very interesting, right? Because now we can do a lot of other things as well. So I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about that a little bit and let you know that that is available as well. Now, skills is something that is currently, I believe, it is in preview. And what skills are, and let me actually pull that up here. I have it here on. I have that page open, I believe. That is in the, as you can see here, I am on the planned features, and I believe that I saw skills in here because I thought it was already available. Let me just go ahead and search for skills. Okay, so this is what that is. You can see here that it's currently in public preview, and that is really, if you want to put in some more coding, as you can see here, it has that Microsoft Bot Framework skill support. We don't know yet when it's going to be in GA, when you can generally, access that, but that is something that they're currently working on as well. And that's really like, if you're working with developers that want to do some additional stuff in Power Virtual Agents, we can use, right? We can insert those skills from that Microsoft Bot Framework directly into PVA as well. So at this point, I have about 7 minutes left, and I can show you guys some additional stuff, but I wanted to go ahead and stop here for questions and see if we have any questions from you guys. I have not been paying attention to the chat window, obviously, but Rafael, do we have any?
No, there is not question for now. If someone want to ask one, you can. Oh, yeah, now. Praful ask, does the user need to sign in to chatbot to chat?
That is a good question. Absolutely not. It doesn't. It is something that you can configure. The way that I have it set up here is that anybody can just start chatting with the chatbot. Now you can configure it that, if these are users that, for example, want to see a list of their orders, right? You can set it up in Power Virtual Agents for them to allow them to sign in and then access their data, or even have Flow, for example, or I should say Microsoft Power Automate, right? Access their excuse me, their data. So really good question. So nope, they don't have to. They can, don't have to. Any other questions?
Not for now. I think you can continue if you have other things to show.
Yeah, I have one more thing I wanted you guys to see. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that up. Let me go back here. So I wanted to, can I move this thing? Yes. I wanted to show you guys what it looks like. This is my website that I actually put it on here. This is actually one of the portal providers that I work with. And this is the way that that chat looks when it's actually integrated with Omnichannel, right? So Omnichannel, I'm just going to click back to Omnichannel. I am logged in here in Omnichannel. I'm an agent that is available. You can see here, I can see all of my ongoing conversations in here. But I'm just going to jump into this chat bot, right? You can, with Omnichannel, if you connect both of them, you can also have some pre-configured questions here. So if you, for example, put in an email address, and I'm going to put that in here, Angel Costellar, I think this was the email address, 1984 at gmail.com, and I can even put in a name that it's kind of going to try to find this person based on the email address. I hope I typed the email address in right. And then I'm going to go ahead and click submit. So now it's going to, again, show me in a second here. There we go. There we have Power Virtual Agents. So I'm just going to go ahead. I need to make sure that I'm actually typing in the right thing. I'm going to type in, we want the Omni one. So I'm going to type in Omni. It's going to go ahead and this is the Omni. Do you want to contact us? I'm going to say no. And what is your issue related to? I'm going to say it's going to be related to account. Can I transfer you to a human agent? This is what I wanted to show you guys. So I'm going to say yes. And it's going to tell me in a second that it's going to transfer me to a live. Here we go. The agent will be with you in a moment. Now, what happens here in Omnichannel, and here we go. We have a chat request from visitor 1. You can see here that it actually got escalated from that bot. And now I am a Omnichannel agent, a live agent. I can click accept. Here we go. And you can see here the conversation that I had, the bot actually had with this customer. And then, so I didn't type in the correct email address because otherwise it would actually have recognized that person as well. Now I can go ahead and I can search for that person as well if I actually have that email address, which is right over here. So I did not type it in here correct. So let me just go ahead and search for that person, Angel. There we go. And now I can just go and start chatting back and forth. I'm going to say, hello there. And if I go back here to this page, right, you can see here that I was interacting with it. So that is kind of what that handoff looks like. You can see that it's very, very easy to kind of right now have the system hand that off and then allow the users from Omnichannel to kind of interact now with that person. It's you saw earlier also, it was very easy to set that up, right? The only thing I had to do is I'm just going to go ahead and say, end the conversation, transfer to agents. That is it. I don't have to do anything else. So it's very, very easy to set that up. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do is because you guys did not see, I'm just going to go minimize this here real quick. If you guys want to go in here and also make sure you do that survey, and I will also put my contact details back on here again because I think at the beginning I wasn't really showing you guys that. So make sure you do the survey, please, please, please. And then I want to go ahead and resume my slideshow. Let me just go back here and show you guys here my information. Feel free to check out my blog, follow me on Twitter, or I also do YouTube videos every week. I do articles every week. You guys can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. And like I said, if you have any questions about Dynamics 365, about Power Virtual Agents, feel free to connect with me and reach out to me. And again, thank you guys so much for joining today. I appreciate it.